Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonia Farrell. This is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythm City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, we've got My Simple Mortgage and James Adams. Hello, James.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm here.
You're all right. You're okay?
I'm okay.
Good. James, honestly, it's an absolute pleasure to have you in.
I appreciate you inviting me in.
But I just want to know a little bit more before we go anywhere about My Simple Mortgage. When was it founded?
Yeah.
And why, really?
I can answer when.
Yeah.
Why is a
different one. different topic.
Registered the company, and so for any business owners out there, you'll know what this is like. You kind of have an idea and you register the company, but you don't start getting going till later. So we started properly dealing with customers May 2015. So we're coming up to 10 years of trading in early 2015. Why? Honestly, company, it's an accidental business. I was licensed in mortgages, and I used to, a while ago, I actually used to work for a church. Mm-hmm. And the salary wasn't great. I'm married, I've got kids, so I thought, you know what, I'll have a small mortgage advice service, and I'll work in the back bedroom as an office, and I'll do a couple of mortgages a month, and that'll be fine. And then 10 years later, we've got staff and doing thousands of mortgages, and it's been great, and it's been a whirlwind. And but why? It was originally to support my income, but then I kind of fell in love with it and jumped into it from there.
That's the main thing. If you can fall in love with something that you do, and especially something that you're growing.
I mean, I don't fall in love with mortgages, let's be honest.
The business.
nobody falls in love with mortgages. I fell in love with the idea that I could do two things, which would be to make a difference to people, which is something that has driven most of my career choices, but then be able to support my family at the same time. It worked out from that point of view.
So making a difference then, and making a difference through the people who you serve, who you work with as well. So I'm just going to ask, the name of the company is My Simple Mortgage.
Yep. In
your words and your experience, and obviously everything that you do with the business, in reality, how simple is the process to arrange a mortgage?
A mortgage is one of those. There's two big scary words in finance: mortgage and pension. Right? They're just, one is a loan, one's a savings account, and I think we get really wrapped up in complex terminology around mortgages. It's just a loan. It's a lump of money that you borrow to buy your house. You pay it back, the house is yours. That's simple. Where it gets complicated, the number of options that you have, and then further to make it further complicated, everybody's different. Everyone's situation is different. How I get paid is different to how you get paid. How somebody else earns is different to how the person next door earns, and how much they earn, and when they get paid, and how they get paid. And then you've got to add in the complexities of their credit situation. Have they been good at paying loans back in the past? And all these kind of things can make the process or the thought of getting a mortgage complicated. What we do is we sit down and go, okay, listen, it's a loan to buy a house. Here's the bits we need to know. Here's what the bank needs to know. Here's what you need to know. And we put those three things together and hold people's hand and get them into their houses.
Do you think then, even now, in 2024, we're going into 2025, there is a lot of the population, I'm going to say, still out there who actually could be quite overwhelmed again, even at the thought, like if you're a first-time buyer, for instance, going through that process. Do you still see that and have experienced that there's still, I don't suppose it's so much as a stigma. I think it's maybe, is it like a fear sometimes from people to commit?
I think when you take out, so we borrow as a culture, we borrow. People have credit cards, overdrafts, even your mobile phone, right? For example, you go and get a mobile phone contract with, I don't know, EE, other mobile phone providers are available, but you get a credit contract with that. They give you a very expensive phone and then you pay a certain amount back for it. We're used to borrowing. Our lives live on credit. And now if you even think about how we consume our entertainment, we rent Netflix. You don't own Netflix, you pay them an amount and they let you have access to their programs. We rent our lives and we finance our lives. And so when it comes to our homes, you've got two options. You can rent it from somebody else and you'll pay them rent each month, or you can take out a loan and you can buy the house yourself. Now, for a while, it's going to feel like renting because you're going to pay the money back to the bank, and the bank, to a legal degree, owns that house. I think the drive and ambition and passion for people in the UK to own a house is there. we stand out from our European counterparts in that our rate of home ownership is really high by comparison in this country. So it's British to own your own house and to have that as a goal, and it's admirable, and it's beautiful when people do it, because they get this sense of belonging and peace and safety from owning the four walls that they sit in. And so the drive is there to do that. But I think, yes, some people do look at that and think, that's never me, that can't be me, I can't possibly do that, I can't afford that, housing is too expensive, it's too complicated, my credit's too bad, my income's not there. And we just have to get people to take a breath, and we guide them through that. Your job is not to come out of the process a mortgage expert. Your job is to come out of this process having been honest with us, so we can then help you understand the loan that you have. We do that, you're good.
And then if somebody has, got bad credit, what is what support or what options could there be? And again, I know it could be different for each individual.
Yep.
But before you answer that, actually, James, as well, can you explain what, in inverted commas, bad credit actually means as well?
We don't really use this. It's a stigma when it comes to saying bad credit. And people call us up and go, I've got bad credit. We actually have that terminology on our website because people, excuse me, they understand those phrases. It's just life, right? We've come through a pandemic where so many people suddenly found out that they weren't going to have an income through no fault of their own. And you have a choice when finance is limited. People have a choice. Do I pay that loan or do I buy food? And people will buy food. There are a minority of people who intentionally game the system and go, well, I'm going to take a credit card, I'm not going to pay it back. That's theft. That's something different. Over here, with the bulk of people who have had life events, who might have what we consider or what we've termed bad credit. Those people, there's usually a reason for it. Something's happened. It's an illness. There's been a change in circumstance. There's a reason why. 99% of people are well-intentioned and good, and when they borrow, they want to pay it back. But things do get in the way sometimes. And so there are products out there, and there are lenders out there specifically geared towards helping those people still achieve the goal of home ownership. The only real difference is that if you've got a track record of not paying something back, the banks are going to look at it and go, okay, you're a higher risk person. There is a chance you might not pay this back. So in the short term, we're going to put your interest rate up because they want to make a little bit extra money that will help them recoup some of their losses if you don't pay. That's really what it comes down to. We help lots of people who have had bad credit onto one of these mortgages where it's been designed for people with bad credit, and then as we keep in touch and our relationship with them grows 2, 5, whatever many years, we then move them to the mainstream lenders once their credit's improved, once they've been able to prove that they can repay a mortgage, and then their interest rates drop and they're off.
So it's guiding them again through the whole process, but also enabling them to grow through it as well.
To learn.
Yeah,
absolutely. We're called mortgage advisors. We're not salespeople. We're here to advise you on your financial products. But we just, you speak to any mortgage advisor out there, and our industry is full of beautiful people, and you say to them, what's the best part of the job? And they all go, it's when I call up that client who thought they couldn't get a mortgage and tell them that we've got their offer. There's a buzz like no other when you get that. And so we like to see ourselves as people who can give a bit of hope and a bit of joy in the process. And then seeing somebody, pick up the keys to the house, the dream house, whether it's a 2-bed terrace or a 5-bedroom mansion, whatever it is, that's really exciting.
Yeah, no, I can get that, and I can see that in just looking at you now, in your face.
Getting carried away, sorry.
Yeah, but you can see it, and that's that is a beautiful thing as well to share, like you say, with customers or clients, etc. But and the other thing as well, James, is finance again. And I've come across and even spoken to here on Business Spotlight a lot of financial companies, and various have also mentioned about financial education.
Yeah.
Now, from your experience again, what is your sort of, your views on financial education? Again, I'm going to put in inverted commas in that. And how would you perceive it, or what would you like to see for the future?
Well, to kind of go back on that a little bit, I didn't have the best relationship with school. So I left school with no A-levels, failed them all. I didn't go to university in the conventional sense. I did do some further studies. But for me, education is a scary word for me. And I've got a little girl now. I've got 2 kids, but one's just started high school. And she needs support in certain areas of her education. And when we're working through that. What I think needs to happen is we need to start understanding that not every child in the education system is built for the way the education system is currently structured. It's probably the polite way of saying that I think the system needs looking at. And so we have these STEM subjects, so science, technology, English and maths, which I get, which are great. And there is an element to which those do produce the highest earning jobs at the end, which is good for the economy, more tax, all that kind of thing. But actually within that, if we focus purely on Pythagoras theorem or photosynthesis or Jane Eyre, which, fine, great, some people do like that. When we then boot these children out of the education system when they turn 18, what they're actually going to go and do is try and buy a house, and they're going to take out a credit card, and they are suddenly going to be told, by the way, you need a pension, and it's a workplace pension or it's auto enrollment, or you need a private, what? And then you need your mortgage, but let's check out your credit, because it might be that you need that certain LTV or that certain LTV. What's an LTV? And so I feel like we do have some phenomenal teachers. My daughter's teachers are phenomenal, and they would probably agree with me to a greater or lesser extent that the curriculum needs to include more life stuff. And when we say life stuff, I mean just some of the practical tools to be able to go out and not suddenly take out a payday loan because they were told by their next door neighbour's cousin that that'll help your credit. For the record, that will never help your credit. Don't ever take out a payday loan. And so all those little things I think need to happen. That's something that we try and help with a little bit. That's not the current fight I'm fighting at the moment. Okay. Financial education is also about mathematics. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't like maths at school. After I did my GCSEs, I got a C in maths, and I went back to my teacher and I said, look, I'd like to resit my exam. I'd like a higher mark. And he said, James, what grade did you get? I said, I got a C. And he went, just take the C, James. You're never going to get any higher. So I was like, okay, fine. A C was enough, and I left it. But maths now is it's why do we teach maths, right? Is it to pass an exam, or is it to equip the citizens of tomorrow? And there has been some change in the way maths has been taught in this country, and I found that when my little girl was coming home saying, Dad, can you help me with my maths homework, I would try and teach her and help her the way that I was taught maths back when it was black and white, you know? And she would then sit there and go, Dad, that's not what I was taught in school. That doesn't make any sense. So we'd sit there for half an hour while she's teaching me Key Stage 2 maths so that I can help her with her Key Stage 2 maths. It just wasn't working. So I got together with a friend of mine, who a lady called Jenny, who is a phenomenal teacher. She's head of maths at a school up in Cheshire. And I said, Jenny, look, here is my problem. I can't help my kids with their homework because I don't understand what you're teaching in schools. And I would hazard a guess that I'm probably not the only parent. So we put together the My Simple Maths programme, and we did it in partnership with Stoke-on-Trent City Council and the Chamber of Commerce, and it was great. We had 50 families book onto this event where we taught the parents the maths that their kids are being taught in school, so that their parents can have a helpful, productive, non-argumentative, constructive conversation about maths. Because if the kids, or particularly if my kids, come out of school understanding the basics of numbers, understanding the interest rate on a mortgage, is going to be far easier for them. And so that's what has driven that whole thing, and it's been brilliant. So we're now rolling out, we're going to, over the next 12 months, we're going to do 4 more of these events across different parts of the city.
So my simple maths.
My Simple Maths. We took the name of the company, and it's blatant marketing, isn't it?
And just going on that, then, you know, the parents who came along and they took part in doing that.
Yeah.
At first, was it something difficult to explain, to get across, whether it's for the, you know, even to the local authority or the Chambers of Commerce? Did they understand exactly where you were coming from that? Because it's a bit of a first for me, learning about this new way and what you're doing, like you say, not educating so much the kids in this instance, but helping the parents to understand what education is actually being taught on the curriculum in the schools.
Yeah. When we came up with the idea, a few parents were like, oh, are you going to teach my kid maths? I'm like, no, we're going to teach you what they're being taught in school. Look, mortgages and maths are the same thing to me. A mortgage is a simple financial tool to buy a house. Maths is a numerical tool for understanding the world around us. They are just very basic things. But the reality is that what goes around it is highly emotionally charged. So with your mortgage, it's not about the loan. It's about what colour will the kids' bedrooms be, who's going to play football in the garden, what's their kitchen going to smell like on a Sunday during the roast. when it comes to maths and education, it's not what is Pythagoras' theorem, what's the square root of 3, how do I do multiplication? It's, oh my goodness, my child is struggling, I don't understand this myself, I'm frustrated, they're frustrated, we're in an argument. That was certainly the case in my house. And so what I looked at was, we simplify the mortgage application process for our customers to help them understand what they're doing. Can I do the same for some parents with maths? Can I simplify that conversation in the house around maths? So the way I felt we could do that was not to teach the kids have got teachers. It was not to provide resources that no one's going to read. It was, let's get the parents in the room and say, hey, this is what they're being taught, and once you understand it, you can have the conversation. Same with our mortgage customers. Hey, this is what the banks talk about. Once you understand it, we can have the conversation. It's exactly the same principle, just two different areas. But our hope is that as people engage with maths, perhaps in a way that I didn't, they won't get into the troubles that they might experience later, because they'll understand more about why reading the small print and why reading the interest rates matters.
And then moving on from that, James, you know, as well as all that and everything that you're doing there with that great work as well, you are a small business yourself, a smallish business,
very small,
in the local area. And how have you found, from starting your business into now in 2024, just to shed some light on various challenges on being a business owner up to 2024?
Yeah. Well, I would never, if let's say my son sat down and said, or my daughter said, Dad, I'm going to start a business. It's in a field that you currently don't work and you've got no clients. I'd be like, don't be daft. Because that's exactly what I did. I moved to Stoke 10 years ago. I hadn't worked in mortgages in years. I had no client bank. I had no contacts, and I registered a business. And so I had to build, when I say from scratch, literally from nothing. So that was the biggest challenge, was getting the aeroplane off the ground. The next challenge is to keep the aeroplane in the air, and then we flew straight into the storm of the pandemic, of COVID, which was a tale of, there was two stories really for the mortgage world in the pandemic. The first half was really brutal. We furloughed some staff. Lots of small business owners out there will recognise that business owners didn't qualify for furlough. You are the business, you're not a person, all that sort of stuff. So we had to navigate those complexities. But then coming out of the pandemic, the mortgage market roared, the property market really soared, and then we had fewer people in the industry because lots of people left, and capacity was an issue. So it's been an absolute roller coaster. But over the last 10 years, we've seen every element of the market you can think of, right up into, God bless her, Liz Truss and the mini budget and all the chaos that ensued after that. So the last 10 years it's been fascinating, and I've got grey hair in my beard that I perhaps wouldn't be there had I not started a business. I don't know. I
just keep counting more wrinkles every time I look or don't look in the mirror, to be honest, James. And you've been going longer than me. But going on about that as well, though, then, there was a little mini budget mention there. We've recently had, obviously, the budget's been announced, and heading forward into 2025. What are your thoughts on the budget, and how do you see any benefits, but also, how do you feel it's going to impact on yourselves?
So, Rachel Reeves is any chancellor that came in. It's a difficult job. You're never going to keep everybody happy, and there are elements of the budget that I fully agree with. There are elements of the budget that I don't agree with. I think we have to look at society as a whole. We live in a really egocentric, personalised, me society, and we do. And people look at the budget and go, well, that affects me negatively, so and it's all. So I'm trying to keep a broader view on, well, what does this mean for our society? We were chatting off air before. As a business owner, I'm pro-tax. I like paying tax. That might sound weird, but I like the fact that there is an education system for my kids. I don't want to grow up in a town full of stupid kids because the schools weren't open. I don't want to live in a city where I call 999 and the ambulance doesn't come. These things need funding, and I think it's right that everybody shoulders the burden of that. The bits that I've struggled with, I think there are some things that will impact me as a business owner that perhaps were targeted at big business but have a greater impact on me than they will do of the owners of Tesco's. So that's going to be difficult to navigate, but we'll get through it. We've lived through budgets, since I've run a business, we've had a pandemic, we've got a war on the continent, we've had all sorts, however many prime ministers, we've had the death of royalty, we've had mini budgets and all sorts. We'll survive. We'll figure it out. It's just, I get up in the morning, I've got two choices. I can quit or I can get on with it. So I'm just going to get on with it.
You're going to get on with it. And we're coming to 2025, James.
Yep.
10 years.
10 years.
Your 10-year anniversary in the business.
Yeah.
One last question, if I dare to ask. Where would you like to see My Simple Mortgage, and I'm also going to bring in My Simple Maths, going in the next 1, 2, 5, 10 years for you?
Great. Well, we've got an exciting year coming up. We have had a really good year. So we're growing this year again. So we've just brought on a couple more staff. We're opening offices at the moment that we've got plans to open up in London, Gloucester, Brighton and Sheffield, which is great. So we're taking the brand further out of Stoke-on-Trent. Last year, along with a new business partner, a chap called Tom from Beta Commercial, fantastic commercial finance company, we've come together, created a commercial finance arm called My Simple Business Loan. So we sit in the commercial space as well. There's also, you've got the commercial finance, the mortgage company's expanding out. That's the next. Well, that's quarter one in 2025. So it's going to be a really busy year. God, 5 years time. I don't know, on a golf course somewhere. No, I'm kidding. I would like us to see the growth continue, but in a stable fashion. I'm not interested in making quick money and having a bubble that bursts. I want to make sure that we spend the next few years with the growth that we've got going on, putting in solid foundations. So 10 years, who knows? Gosh, we've just gone through the US presidential election. We've only got a new government ourselves. Who knows if we'll be here.
Ride the roller coaster.
Just going to ride the roller coaster. The next 12 months is going to be really exciting, and I think for Stoke-on-Trent, I'm hoping that we become a real success story for Stoke-on-Trent to be proud of. I love running a business in Stoke-on-Trent. If I could give advice to anybody who wanted to start a business, come to Stoke and start it, because the business community, the business network in here, the Chamber of Commerce, your access to north and south, your infrastructure, it's a sweet spot for starting a business. Forget London. London's last year.
James, thank you, and thank you so much for coming in on Business Spotlight.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. That's James Adams from My Simple Mortgage here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonia Farrell.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.